Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Good News Report. I'm Pamela D. Marshall. I thank you so much for being here with us. As I worked in news for a number of years, as I have shared with you. And one of the reasons that I do this show is because in the newsroom, the motto is if it bleeds, it leads. But that is not all the news that there is to talk about every day. It's just some of the news. We don't here at the Good News Report, we don't ignore what is wrong. We simply refuse to believe that what is wrong is all there is to talk about. So, welcome to the Good News Report. And as we have been doing during election season, we are continuing our conversations with people asking for the privilege and the responsibility of serving their community. My guest for this show is Casey Willits. Casey is a Gainesville City Commissioner for District 3 and is the city's current Mayor Pro Tem. Casey was elected to the Gainesville City Commission in 2022 and began serving District 3 in 2023. Before becoming an elected official, he spent years working in civil rights advocacy, political organizing, and community engagement. He has also worked for the University of Florida and is a member of the United Campus Workers Union. I am so pleased to welcome to the Good News Report, Casey Willits. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Pamela, for having me and for putting this on for the community.
Let me tell you, you having served, now having the opportunity to run again, and being Mayor Pro Tem, congratulations on that. There are challenges in serving a community. What makes you want to do it again?
Well, I thought I knew a lot about politics, maybe even local politics before I ran the first time. And then you get into office and you realize, oh, there's all this stuff I didn't realize. I thought I knew about bureaucracy. It's even more bureaucratic. I thought I knew about local politics. There's even more and more history. But I think the reason why I wanted to run again is first and foremost because I am not done doing what I kind of promised, right? Like these things are long-term projects, they're long-term focuses. And so there's individual projects I want to see through and larger shifts in the city that I'm not done accomplishing. And at some point you just have to say, do I trust that anyone else can accomplish it or will work or dedicate as much as you will? And so that led me to say, oh, no, I got to do it. I got to finish the job. I'm glad it's a 4-year term, but I'm committed for the 8 years and getting done not just more of the same, but also some other new things as well.
Well, as you talked about how surprising it was, some of the things that you have learned. What surprised you the most?
I don't think I fully understood how much our voters, our residents, our neighbors, how they will take out every last frustration on the city commission. And I didn't realize they were that vocal. But then what I realized in that is that the need to be heard. And even if we can't change something immediately, or the commission disagrees with somebody, the need to be heard is what I really kind of started to understand that first year. I'd communicate to a city commission or legislators, sometimes angrily, usually by form letter. But this need to be heard, and local government is probably the best place because you're the closest, representatives represent the smallest number of people as opposed to like Congress. And knowing how much people need to be heard generally, and then on specific issues, they'll need information back, but to a large degree, they just need to be heard. And it really helps them trust government more merely to have that opportunity.
One of the things that they wanted to be heard about were all those trees that were cut down, right?
Oh yeah, this is a good example where they immediately people feel something, they see it in their community, it connects to a long-term feeling or value or goal, and then in that moment they want answers, they just want to communicate out. I think I got 51 emails about trees recently in the past 2 weeks, and when I emailed back these 51 folks, a whole bunch of them almost immediately said, oh, thank you for providing the information, for listening. There was a whole bunch of information I was providing back to kind of summarize, because there's multiple steps. Some people are mad about this tree or that property, so I try to combine it all. And they really liked having the opportunity to speak, but then to be heard, even when I couldn't answer all of their questions or achieve everything they wanted. But they could see that there's a process going forward, and there's movement and consideration by me and the other people on the city commission.
So you are in this first term. You say there are things that you want to complete or see further down the see it moved further down the road to completion. What what do you feel like your greatest accomplishment has been in this first term?
So one of them is not very big, flashy. You can't hang a sign on it. But more than anything, I ran on and brought to the commission a sense that we have to be concerned about all corners of the city, and that when something has not had its fair shake in the past, when things aren't equitable, that we have to consider that. So really making sure the city pays attention to where we haven't made the investments in the past, or we've ignored, or where there's assumptions like, oh, those people are all students, even though students are residents and citizens and voters and residents of Gainesville and taxpayers, just like everyone else. But being able to bring that focus down to Southwest Gainesville about the infrastructure that's there, our public resources, our investments, and what happens in Southwest Gainesville and how it affects the people of Southwest Gainesville, I think that's my biggest accomplishment, is to get the whole commission thinking about it. It took a couple of years, lots of relationships on the dais to make sure that I don't go too strong and too aggressive, because I want them to all come along for the ride.
So we have an opportunity to see you as we watch those meetings, but let's talk about you. What brought you to this point in your
Mhm.
life to be serving the community? Did you see
Well,
yourself doing this when you were in the fifth grade?
oh no, no. At some point in college, I think I was young and excited about politics, and I was going to be a state legislator. That was my thing. So back then I did, and then after that, no, I didn't imagine running for office. Um, in 2022, did not imagine running for office, particularly City of Gainesville. City Commission was not the place. Um, so that I would have imagined. But I'd been super involved in politics, working as a staff member, statewide campaigns, two Obama campaigns here in Florida, some local campaigns that I either was staffed or lead volunteer on, doing a lot of the work that makes elections possible. So I thought I knew a lot and was involved and interested. But really, in 2022, some members of the community, they called me up and they said, "Hey, the lines have changed. You should run for this now, because there's not one of the people who we thought was going to run who's going to be really serious." And I said, "Oh, first I didn't even realize I was, in the district." But the lines changed, which makes sense after an election. I hadn't been following closely enough, and when I stopped and thought about it, they wanted me to think about it, and I thought, well, what would I want to achieve? Those are the things when I said, "Oh yeah, there's this thing. I don't think the resources are being shared equitably." I can look on a map and realize there's not a good active park in Southwest Gainesville, south of Archer. I can realize that the streets, particularly the sidewalks, are not as connected as they should be, and there's not a good trail that is used for transportation to get people closer to the center of the city or to jobs or to groceries. And so that's what kind of led me. Someone asked, said, "You should do this," and I hadn't considered it. And they go, "Oh yeah, there are these things," and then I jumped right in.
So as voters are considering you for a second term, what would you say to District 3 voters who look at your first term, who would say they don't think enough has changed.
Hmm. I got to think about a little bit about because like what parts of it hasn't changed, you know. But
Well, maybe I'll ask you this way. Do people expect things to change more rapidly than it's possible for them to change?
I think in general, all voters do. They expect rapid change, but I think it's that particularly a lot of people need the change to be faster, and that can be something as simple as the cost of housing for them. Their rent is too high, and waiting a full year cycle when rents technically the average rents in Gainesville they finally went down this past year. Finally, after years going up, but that's kind of the average. And if you're stuck in a 12-month lease, yeah, maybe 10 months from now, you'll finally get a perhaps slightly lower, have that opportunity, but they need it immediately. So helping those, immediate needs are something that the city is not always the best spot for, but setting us on a long-term path. So those commitments and changing policy, which that's what cities really do, that's where we really can strive for a future that is more affordable or that does have more equitable, sharing of resources and infrastructure. And so I will definitely point to the things where we've changed real policies so that the next person, a young student kind of gets this a little bit because I can say, the next student that comes behind you, this is the Gainesville they're going to inherit. But for people who are here, who are not students, they're not turning over as fast. Um, Letting them know where we are headed kind of helps that. But I also listen to that because in there you hear what the problem is necessarily. They may be describing a very specific problem, but the larger cause of those problems. So um, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little distracted, but that's a piece of listening to and helping identify what it is that the larger situation as opposed to one individual thing. You can complain about one pothole versus are we fairly targeting Southwest Gainesville for some of those improvements? You can complain about one sidewalk, and so part of my process is not as fun and exciting is that shifting the focus to Southwest Gainesville has been one of my huge goals. And it's a long-term process. That's not what a voter wants to hear though. But I'm going to try to make sure I never, uh, you know, tell a voter or promise a voter something super, super fast. Even though it would be so much easier if I can just promise something like, hey, next year we're going to achieve this. Uh, it drags down the process for me, the political process. I really try hard not to promise too much.
Yeah. There's also the delicate balance of things that will benefit these two large universities or schools of University of Florida and Santa Fe, and taking care of the residents that are here
Yeah.
consistently. And one of the challenges is transportation, RTS. Um, what would you like residents to see? What would you like for residents to see happen with public transportation during your second term?
So I think one of the challenges is going to be because of UF did some cuts and we kind of push them and work with them to reverse some of them on their own. And then some of the remainders of the cuts that affected our entire system, particularly those routes that are not necessarily university routes. University students ride them, but not majority on those routes. I advocated for, and we came back in and dumped in about a $500,000 last year to save good service on four of those routes, mostly during on high demand periods. And the budget that we're about to pass this fall maintains that $500,000 of that extra funding. Going forward, those decisions are going to be very much a city commission decision, not just what is UF, what are they interested in, what are their routes, are they going to increase what they contribute to RTS because they want to preserve or to expand. And so that I want the public to really know that it's going to become much more of a city. Like we're going to have to find that money, make that commitment. If we have to raise a tax, but that's something people need to know. We're going to continue to work. I want to continue working with the university and pressuring them to really let them understand how this system works together. Where If UF can provide a little more money, we can keep a networked system that particularly is of useful to students, not on their daily ride, but the once a week they need to go somewhere on kind of a city route, or once a month when they need to get to the airport, or when they do want to take a bus downtown, as opposed to just home to university, home to university. Same applies to Santa Fe, but on a much smaller scale.
Yeah. We are talking to Mr. Willits. He is the Mayor Pro Tem currently on the Gainesville City Commission and is seeking a second term. We have invited all of the other candidates to participate in these discussions on the Good News Report, and so pleased that he had a chance to join us today. We're doing this because it is our desire to inform you, our listeners and viewers, those in the community, so that you will not be apathetic about going to the polls and voting. We hope that when you see this, that this will encourage you. I want to support whoever the candidate is. We don't endorse, we just inform. So, Commissioner Willis, as you look at the time that you have been there, what is the one thing that you hope to accomplish that you haven't been able to accomplish yet, that you want to say to the voters, I'm going to go back for a second term. This is what I feel is critical for this community, and this is what I would like to accomplish. I'm not telling you to promise. This is what I would like to accomplish.
So it's not kind of on the standard. Oh, here are my three issues, but it's something that might be achieved before even the end of this year. But Rome towing and Roma mobilization or booting is something that I've just heard so much about over the years. And I think it's time for us to, my preference is that we don't allow for Rome towing or Rome booting. Those have to be a call in. So we have some ordinances that are coming before us. That may be a process that doesn't get solved this fall and may run into in the next term for a commission. And that is one thing that I personally want to do. It's not the big long term issues of housing, of transportation, how we spend our money on green spaces and parks and tree preservation across the city. But it is one of those like smaller things. And in this case, I think it's an example of listening to the community and realizing it is time. And that's a listening of like, not just me, but other commissioners. That's like 15 years worth of listening, not just 4 years or 1 year. So we will see about that, but that is definitely one of those pieces. And I use it as an example of a more concrete, not a long journey. Housing is a long journey. Tree mitigation and our tree canopies, that's a marathon, as I say, because you do it all the time. You keep up with it, but it's more of like a one ordinance. Rome towing or Rome immobilization is one of those opportunities. I want to get to something that I think is more fair and less abusive of our residents.
Commissioner Willis, you've also identified parks as a priority. What is it that you believe Gainesville parks need most?
A whole lot more money. A whole lot more money, of course. But in particular, when I focus on parks, I have a degree in geography. So I like, and that's not geology like rocks, but it's geography, maps, and the distribution of people and places and everything across space. And I'll admit I'm a bit of a Google Maps nerd. I look at Google Maps for at least an hour a week, at least an hour of here locally and other places. Got to learn about other places. But before I ran, I knew, and then while I was running, and the past 3.5 years, that Southwest Gainesville was overlooked, even in putting a new park in that was, according to our Parks Master Plan from 2012, they had a big X roughly in Southwest Gainesville, south of Archer. Like, this is where we'd need a community park, community size, probably larger than a neighborhood park, just to give equal access to our residents. It's an area of the city that was incorporated in more than 20 years ago from the county. It was already somewhat built out, but then the county didn't build any park infrastructure in this area that came into the city. There's some other stuff on the outside edges out in the county, but not in the core of it. And so that's the first thing I think it is, even though we have a lot of stuff we're doing, renovating here and there, my personal priority that I've gotten onto our wild spaces public places list, and we have bought land for at least a park south of Archer Road in the core of this district, the core of Southwest. What we can fully put on that piece of property, staff is going to help us know. Whether it is, more of just the neighborhood park that you hike through and you walk under the trees and sit on a bench, versus maybe playground equipment or basketball. Staff will help us let us know. But we bought that land, we preserved it for the public, and whole park system could use a lot more money. But this is one place where what the entire city needs, because Southwest Gainesville needs. And that's kind of where I come at it. As a total goal, we had this idea that people should live close to parks. Parks shouldn't be that far away from people. And so I stuck with that goal. I achieved it. We bought the land, and we got to see it through the full process of planning and seeing what we can really put on there, what the neighborhood wants, and then how it fits into our larger plan for the city.
So as you serve, everybody sitting there, they have their communities that they're working for. Is that really loud?
I hear a little bit.
You hear a little bit. Um, all of your fellow commissioners have their ideas for what they want for their community. How do you handle discord? Because it's going to happen. Were you prepared for it to happen? How do you handle discord as you sit there and then get up, walk back to wherever you all go, back behind the door where you get your cheese and crackers, and then you have to come back out and you continue the meeting. You have to see each other the next meeting or see each other. You're not supposed to see each other between meetings, right?
We
Or
can't talk about anything that could basically possibly come up for a vote.
can you talk
So
about your garden?
we talk a lot about kids and the weather, right? It's Florida. We complain about the heat, but I wasn't quite prepared. Partly because I
Did
was
you get
just kind
Casey? Did you get your feelings hurt?
I don't know that I really have so far. There was
Okay.
not feelings hurt, but where I disagree. But I wasn't quite expecting some of the discord, because I went in with, bushy eyed Mr. Smith goes to Washington, kind of like, it's going to be great. I'm wonderful. Everyone's going to love me. And you're like, oh no, this is a policy body, and there's a lot of personalities, and the public is there, and so I think right now we have a pretty good commission about how they work together, and there are real differences of opinion, but nobody stonewalls in a way, or filibusters in a way to get their way if they know if they haven't built majority support. The way I get over some of the not even hurt feelings, but even like, let's say I don't get my way, I'm in the minority on something, I come back. The first thought is just like, well, this is my job. It's the job to be there and to listen to your colleagues, convince them, be convinced by them, listen to the public, listen to staff. So it's your job to go back in there and to give it your best. But outside of that, the thing that drives me to make sure that even if my feelings were, let's say, a little hurt or didn't get my way, is that these commissioners are all humans. They are fallible. They have emotions. And I would hate for my district to get harmed in one of my priorities for the district, or what I hear from the district, what I hear from my residents and voters as their priority. I would hate for that to be harmed because I couldn't get over an interpersonal squabble and then have a commissioner vote against me out of pure, emotional, let's say, because they are humans. We are humans. And sometimes humans make decisions based on how they feel, not on, the much higher values or ethics or goals that we describe public office. So those are the two things. It's my job, and part of that job is being my best, and that means giving other people, some grace. But outside of that, yeah, I want to achieve my goals for my district, what I ran on, what I promised, what I think will be good. And I try very careful to make sure that there's nothing on the commission that will prevent me from, achieving those goals. And that includes the personalities and emotions, and those other commissions' priorities. I don't want to, if there's something they really want and it sounds like it's okay, why pick a fight just to pick a fight? So I try very careful to not be like petty with the other commissioners.
Oops. What has served? What has serving on this commission taught you that you didn't understand before you were elected?
Yeah. I did not quite understand the, on the local level, the the great responsibility that city staff have. Not that I didn't understand their workload, but the responsibility to make sure that they are not driving the car, captaining the ship, that it's still the will of the people and the commission. And it can be very hard because we have a manager format where you really task the manager to achieve a whole lot. But to make so that part, I didn't quite realize that commissioners have to stay on top of their priorities, other priorities, and make sure that when it is appropriate for the commission to step in to help guide things, to be updated, to change course. There's occasionally we change course. Um, if commissioners ignore what staff is doing and they don't ask enough questions and have a good working relationship with staff, they will, I think the commission as a whole and individuals can miss when it is they are supposed to step in and say, no, 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 this is, we need to make a policy decision. We need to give city manager direction at this moment. I don't think I understood quite how powerful staff is. They have a huge responsibility to not overstep their role. And conversely, that the commission needs to allow the manager and staff to do theirs. So I didn't quite understand that balance. I don't think I may have known, certainly wasn't prepared for. So yeah, I think that's one of there are a bunch of small things about being out in the city and learning what individual departments do that shocked me. But that's definitely one that I grew up as my understanding of local government and democracy.
Yeah, and let me just commend all staffers because you sit and make decisions, and much of what you're deciding about is because they have provided information.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way that you can do the in-depth level of research analysis, budgeting, and seeing whether or not this would work that they do. Um, so, as a governing body, I know that you do have a great deal of appreciation for those staffers that serve the city of Gainesville that you work with on a regular basis. Casey, it's been such a joy having you here today. But before we let you go, we always like to have a little fun. We do a little lightning round. I have some
Okay.
questions. Yeah, I have some questions. You don't need to overthink, just give us the answer. So let's begin. Are you ready?
Yes.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Any specific, do you do black or do you season it?
So I do black because I like to buy a decent quality. I get Sweetwater, which is local. For 12 years, I've done like the exact same brew of Sweetwater that's that's roasted here in town. And when they're out of my specific brand, I become quite a complainer. But I think everyone should look at for Sweetwater because it's roasted here in town.
All right. Morning person or night owl?
I'm a night owl. Yeah, unfortunately.
Favorite Gainesville restaurant?
I have to pick uh, Wahaha Thai because A, it's in my district. It's like the closest one, and during the pandemic, it became that like I'm supporting my local community, and also I get to eat nicer food than I normally would. So Wahaha Thai, which is down on Southwest 13th.
All right. Favorite place in Gainesville?
Oh, that's so hard. Oh, it's so hard. I'm gonna pick a place that starts in Gainesville and then leaves Gainesville, and that's the Hawthorne Trail. And it's because while you're out there, it's just on a bicycle, particularly, you reach again. I reach a moment of zen, and it feels like Gainesville because there's oaks, but there's also exercise, and you're also going out into the country, and it's like the local gym that the tourists don't know about necessarily. It's ours. So the Hawthorne Trail as you head out of town on it on a bicycle.
How much have you been out there this summer? What have you done?
Not, I went. I think once in May I rode my bicycle, or April, once or twice, and went out there to the overlook. Great, and then got busy. but it was on my bucket list to ride all the way out to Hawthorne when I first moved to Gainesville, 12 years ago, and I did it multiple times. And so everyone has a bucket list, but when I first came to Gainesville, riding on a bicycle all the way to the city of Hawthorne was on it. So I
How
want to
many
get
miles?
back to it. It's if you start in town and go out, if you start all the way in town, it's maybe 18 miles out and 18 miles back. So you can get 36 miles. It's
Wow.
for people who are prepared.
Yeah, I went on a 40-mile bike ride unprepared. We were sponsoring it, and I didn't know that I had to give a speech at the halfway point.
On the other
So
end.
so when I got the call Friday, what time are you going to be here? The ride starts at. I was like, no, we just sponsored it, and they said no. As a sponsor, you have to. I'm like, what? My goodness, let me tell you, when I was out there in that first 20, I was like, I don't know what Neil Armstrong took, but I wish I had some of it.
Hmm.
It was rough. It was rough. Okay, Gator softball or Gator football?
Are you asking me this specifically because you've heard some things about me? Because it is Gator softball. My mother played NCAA softball years ago. I took her to the World Series of softball back in 2015 or something, and that's what I've been to the most games of is softball. It's fast, it's lightning paced. I love it. So unfortunately, not for I'm proud of it. Gator softball.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So, favorite Gainesville park?
Oh, oh, that's tough. Um, I'm gonna go Depot because I've run 36 5K runs, volunteer free runs
Really?
in Depot Park. It's called Park Run,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they do it every Saturday morning at 7:30. And I've done 37 total. 36 of them were at Depot Park, and so if it's the place you go the most, it better be your favorite.
Well, you know what? And Park Run is just amazing. Every time I go and the opportunity to meet people and people who come from other countries who are
Hmm.
participating in Park Run. And,
Yep.
and it's wonderful that Gainesville has that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, one word that describes Gainesville.
Um, I'm going to describe it. Maybe Gainesville doesn't, but refuge.
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 Oh, that's nice.
Refuge
One word
from
that,
the world, a refuge for people. And I think people land in Gainesville when they need Gainesville. Even the people who've lived here, forever, their family arrived here perhaps when they needed Gainesville, or they stayed because it is, to some degree, it is a refuge from the rest of the world.
well, let me tell you, I'm so glad that I came here for 5 elements acupuncture. It's been amazing for my body. So glad.
There you go.
So, hey, one word that describes your leadership style.
Um, I'm gonna steal this from someone who endorsed me recently. Thoughtful.
Hmm. I'm sure they don't mind you borrowing something that they feel like describes you.
They put it up in public, so
Yeah. Maps or spreadsheets?
this isn't fair. This isn't fair. This is quick. Maps.
All right. What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Um, uh, Sorry. Um, I have a twin brother. He passed away in 2025, but I'm a twin, and I'm still a twin. But my brother passed away in spring 25. It's the easy thing. Sorry, I took a little while. I haven't been asked that in a long while, and that was always my answer before he passed. But I'm a twin.
Wow. Were you all identical or fraternal?
No, we were fraternal. So
But and I give you my condolences. When my first sibling passed away, I wanted to write a book about what that means because I haven't heard enough discussion about that. So I cannot imagine a twin. Thank you for sharing that with us, Casey. What was his name?
His name was Corey.
Corey and Casey. Oh,
Yep.
nice. If you could have dinner with any elected official, living or deceased, who would that
Oh, it's good. Got to be Barack Obama because I worked for him a couple years, and yeah, got to be Barack Obama.
Have you seen my picture of me hugging Barack Obama?
No, but I'm sure I'd be jealous. I've never done it. Even if I was in that situation, I would shy away because I don't want to be the person who is, being too
I
much of a
couldn't help
fan.
it. I couldn't help it. It actually hung in the White House, Casey. What's
Hmm.
what's one thing about Gainesville that you hope never changes?
That that basically you can that it's a place where people can make their place. They can make it their home. That there's lots of different kind of ways of making it your home.
So, do you like comedy or scary movies?
Comedy.
What makes you laugh?
uh, Witty things that are kind of like plays on words and yeah, witty things that are plays on words. And when people really work to find that witty thing, those are the things that make me laugh.
And Casey, because you're on the Good News Report, what is one thing about Gainesville that you believe we should be celebrating?
Um, to a large degree, that we refuse to change because of what other people think about us. We refuse to change. We're going to keep on being ourselves. It changes. Who we are changes, but it's not because of what other people think about us.
Well, Commissioner Casey Willis, I thank you for carving out time to be on the Good News Report. I hope that this interview gives viewers a chance to see you and hear you and get a feeling for who you are as they make their decisions and head to the polls. I would like to encourage everyone to have a plan, make a plan to vote. Take your family members and friends, load up the wagon and take them to the polls. This election is August 18th. We are in early voting. Early voting ends Saturday, I believe, and then the
Saturday,
actual
6 p.m.
Saturday at 6 p.m. And then early voting, and then the election is August 18th. Again, sir, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate you joining the Good News Report. Okay, that's when
Thanks
you
for
say
thanks for having me.
thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm Pamela Marshall at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. Remember, there is healing at the well. Now go out and be good news to someone you meet. Thank you for joining.